59 seconds.
Just horse shit is all it is. Fucked up my shoulder somehow. I don't know what I've done.
Throwing your kid in the pool. Bullshit.
It hurt before that. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Mossberg. Thank the guys at Mossberg. They donated shotguns to the Gold Star Dove Hunt, which will be September 28th weekend here at Knox City. We do appreciate it very much. With me today is the Flat Earther, used to be known as the world-famous Andy Shaver.
Hand me that CBD salve. Like I said, my shoulder is fucked up. This is also brought to you by Hemp Hill Farms, because my shoulder's dicked.
It's from throwing Jameson's ass in that pool.
No, it was hurting before that.
Swatting flies might not.
Swatting flies, flat earths, fucked up my shoulder.
With us,
all bad.
With us today from Combat Waterfowl, Mr. Robert Brewer. Robert, where are you at? You in North Carolina?
Yes, sir. Eastern North Carolina, right on the beach.
Y'all gonna get a bunch of rain from this hurricane?
It's already started, man. I'm looking at some rain showers now. The worst of it's going to be tomorrow. And Saturday's forecast is bright, beautiful, and sunny. So there you go. That's North Carolina.
What kicked it back north? Because it was in the Gulf, right? Like it was tracking kind of where we needed it to hit, and then it just all of a sudden took a big right-hand turn.
High pressure that's sitting over the fucking middle of the United States is keeping us hot and no wind pushed it.
I understand that, dude. If you watch these hurricane tracks, obviously we have to watch it here living on the coast, but when you watch them, sometimes it'll be like never going to be a threat, and the next thing you know, it's in your back door. So I don't know. We're due for a bad one. We hadn't had a bad one in a couple of years. I hate saying it, but it's
I don't wish any ill will on anyone other than maybe Kamala Harris and Barack Obama. Nobody. I don't wish any ill will on a person out there. Joe Biden, too. Yeah. Yeah, Mitch McConnell, Charlie Schumer. There's a few. Anyways, when it comes to a hurricane, I needed a hurricane to hit between Corpus Christi and Brownsville. I don't want one that's a bad one. I just want a big rainmaker, and that's what we need. We need a big rainmaker because that's how it'll save all of West Texas would get a big dump in of rain. So we needed what y'all have rain-wise, but we don't need the 130-mile-an-hour winds. And my prayers go out to all those people on the Florida Panhandle. That's going to be a horrible deal for them.
It's definitely a lot worse down there than it's going to be up here. As at least under the current forecast, we're looking at maybe some 30 to 40-mile-an-hour winds and a bunch of much-needed rain. We're pretty dry right now. Except for the ocean, obviously, it's pretty wet.
Yeah, we need
wet when you go past the beach.
We need the rain too, and so we would have liked to have that.
What did DeSantis do? Because everybody's talking about how Florida's going to be a mess with what he's done to the insurance.
He's done something that he didn't take some federal funding on shit. I don't know. Honestly, I don't read anything on the news unless
this was on Twitter.
Well, I read some Twitter shit, but I haven't really dove into it because I've decided every son of a bitch up there's a crooked fucker except for Donald Trump. The one guy that's arrested for being a crook is the only one that's not a crook. So I do not watch the news much at all anymore.
Yeah, I can't say I blame you for that. I try not.
Did you watch the debate?
No,
I did not either. I had guys ask me, "Who do you think won?" Me, because I didn't watch that shit.
Vivek won. I didn't even watch it, but I saw enough Twitter highlights, which he's starting to sound like I don't know what's going on with him. Evidently, he was at He was at a Democrat primary in 2004 or something with Al Sharpton. But, Donald Trump was a Democrat, too, for 50 years of his life. So,
I do think, if we're on that topic, I do think that that Donald Trump is going to cause a problem for the Republican Party because there are so many Republicans not on his side that I feel like if he does continue his track forward toward the presidency, number one, I don't think he's going to win. Number two, I think he's going to swing vote a lot of Republicans that probably would have voted Republican away from that because of who he is as a person and perception of him. He's a businessman, and the country's ran better under him than it ever has, in my opinion, since I've been alive. Now, granted, I'm only 32 years old, but there you go. That's my piece.
Who would you see? That's one of the problems we have. Or it's a problem I have. Who the fuck else you gonna vote for? You gonna vote for a Democrat? That's these people that say, "Well, I just don't want to vote for Trump." Did you not look at your bank account and your stocks and the security in the world when he was in office? The first 2 years before this COVID bullshit came on, best president we ever had.
Even after,
and so,
yeah, even after that, even his response, in my opinion, obviously his response to that was pretty well. I mean, our business is a perfect example of that. We started in 2019, and so we carried through COVID, really grew through COVID, honestly, and that could come from a number of things. More people's presence online, on their phones, at home, shopping online. I don't know. I can't pinpoint one specific thing, but I know that my personal assets and stuff were great. Interest rates were great. Housing market was great. In general, people were pretty freaking happy, in my opinion. But that's neither here nor there. Obviously, the country felt differently, or somebody playing around with votes felt differently. So here we are.
Yeah, we can't. We're not going to win a fair election, anyways. I mean, that's the bottom line. We can't win a fair election. We're going to have an election that's going to have to be pen and paper and someone counting the votes and in a fair election. Trump wins easy, very easy.
I think you might be surprised, Jeff. Honestly, people are fucking tired of this. Like, honestly, they really are. People are largely not happy. Even Democrats are not happy with what's going on a grand scheme. So. I think we might be a little surprised come next year, but we'll see.
I think if he gets Kennedy, it's an unbeatable ticket, because I think Kennedy's going to get screwed out of the nomination on the Democrat side, which Biden's not going to debate anyway. But Kennedy's going to get screwed out of that. That's going to piss a lot of people on the Democrat side off. They said Trump is up, I think, 14%. He's up to 20% up.
Excuse me.
Push that motherfucker away. Don't interrupt my monologue.
Jesus Christ.
Don't interrupt my monologue.
Continue on.
Trump is up to 20% with the black voters. That's up 14% from what he saw in 2020. So because they think he's a gangster because he got arrested. They said
he's one of them.
They said that's ugly, racist, and inappropriate.
That's exactly
that
what
is
they
inappropriate.
I saw a guy just
that is inappropriate saying that.
There's a group called the N word with the AS instead of the ER. For Trump.
I saw that.
And that's what that guy said. He's one of us now. He's been arrested.
Yeah, he's been arrested.
The white man has put him in chains.
He's and he raised $20 million after his campaign record. So,
I just don't think the Republicans have anyone that's exciting other than Trump. He's got 68 to 70% of the Republicans right now, and the independents. He's the only there's nobody else I would vote for on that ticket. Maybe Vivek. I'm not voting for any of them. I'm not voting for any of them other ass clowns.
I love Vivek. I'm worried about him.
I won't vote for anyone else on the Republican. I won't vote. I'm what's wrong with America. If my guy's not up there, I'm done.
Fuck it.
It don't matter.
Just let it all burn down.
Now,
fuck it, Jeff.
I would vote for Kennedy, but I'm not going to vote for any of them other ass clowns because it's the same shit over and over and over. I'm so sick and tired of this fucking Ukraine bullshit and giving them money. Tired of it. And everybody in America, you're an ex-veteran. Are you not sick of that shit?
Man, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I did my time, and I'm very proud of what I was done, and more so proud of the people that were right there with me. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to have served this country. In saying that, I'm probably the wrong person to ask that question to, because my feelings are that I served my time, and some good friends that I know died over there to give people the opportunity to have an opinion. So for me to say that I have my own opinions, and obviously I'm pretty aligned with what you guys feel, but for me to say that I guess that they shouldn't feel that way, or that they're wrong for feeling that way, I'm not that guy, because I think that one of the main things that makes our country so great is that there is a difference in opinion. I feel like when too many people are aligned in one area or another, that it creates a toxic almost environment, or a dictatorship, or leading to that. The dissent or the opposition, in my mind, is a good thing. Now, unfortunately, I feel like that the opposition in my mind is kind of controlling things right now. And so that motivates me to dig deeper into what I feel like we should be doing as a country. Now, granted, I'm one person of whatever 6.8 billion on the earth, and so my opinion matters minimally. But I do respect, and I am thankful to have opposing opinion. So I might be the wrong person.
Well,
to
no,
ask that
you're
question
right,
to.
because I mean the only way to combat bad speech is better speech. And I mean, if you've got
Right.
now, the problem is you're getting into a lot of censorship, and a lot of these big companies are kind of throttling back opposing views. But you're right. Like, the only way that you're going to win argument with against pick your topic, the trans debate, gay marriage, whatever your topic is, drugs, is to have a better point than them. Now, the problem that you run into is that a lot of people just shut you up as soon as they see any, differing opinion. But no, you're right. Healthy debate is good. It's what drives us forward. The problem is, like I said, is you get into a lot of not self-censorship, but self-censorship, because, just like us, there's things on this podcast that if it's going to go up on YouTube, we can't talk about because that'll be a strike against us. And, for the most part, we pretty well let it fly. But, a lot of people are up against the machine, and the machine's going to win, unfortunately.
Are you tired of the Ukraine money?
Yeah.
I am.
For sure. I definitely, I mean, I'm a big nationalist, man. So from my perspective, we have a lot of needs fiscally here in the United States, and in areas that, and really in every single area of our government, of our community, and all of that we need to take care of us. And, on veteran issues specifically, I mean, dude, I've got 2 friends of mine that have claims in right now. Both are looking at having to hire an attorney because the VA's screwing them over, frankly. And now I do think there are a lot of people that take advantage of that system. I do think there are a lot of veterans that take advantage of their veteran status. I'm one of those people that I feel like, just because I served in this country doesn't mean I'm entitled to anything other than fair treatment, good health care, things like that. I don't think that veterans should have the world given to them because it was a conscious choice. Now, I think that certain other generations of veterans that came before us that were drafted and forced into that, frankly, I feel like they should be taken care of a lot better than I was, because I walked into a recruiter's office, I sat down across a guy in a funny suit and signed a piece of paper on my own accord. I mean, that was a choice.
So let me ask you this. How were there such wide range of stories with the VA? Because you talk to one veteran and they're like, I've had nothing but great experiences. And then you talk to somebody else and it's like, it has been a nightmare since the second I walked in.
Man, I think it has a lot to do with it. The VA is an organization, but there are people that are within that organization. It's the same way if you walk into name a retail store. You might have a great experience at X retail store, right? In whatever town, USA, and then you come out to that same retail store in a different place, and you might have a totally different experience. And so these raters are people. The people that approve those ratings, that's a human that does that, right? And so they might have a different perception. That you might have caught them with a hangover at 9 a.m. on Monday morning, or you might have caught them ready to go on vacation at Friday at 2 o'clock. And so, I think that has a little bit to do with it. I think just because of the human aspect, I think you're going to have variance. I'm one of those people that have never had a lick of issue out of the VA personally. I also use the VA from a healthcare perspective, not at all. I'm medically retired in 2015, so I retained TRICARE. So my care is through private. I do go on post for some things just because of my proximity to Camp Lejeune, but for the most part, I'm seen off base. So I go to the same doctors any other citizen would. I think the VA is going to be a hard system to fix. I think it's going to take people that care to affect change there. And I think there's been a lot of steps made in the right direction, but it's a long way from being where it needs to be, in my opinion.
If the government's involved, it's fucked up. Give a shit what happens. It's just the way it is. There's not anything the government runs that's a good process. Private business is better every way. The post office, FedEx, or UPS. I mean, it's not even close. UPS is having to cut back people when they make them bid on shit, and they lost a lot of their Amazon contracts because Amazon's doing their own stuff now, so they've cut back on their employees' pay. And then you go to UPS, and them guys are getting $150,000 a year to drive a truck now.
Luke says that's not true at all.
That he did tell me that also, but they're going to get a raise regardless. But it's the complete opposite.
Right.
The federal government's U.S. Postal Service can't keep fucking 60 cents to mail a letter now. Now, I don't mail very much stuff, and the reason I know that is I about shit when she told me it was 60 cents. I was like, I need one stamp to mail this because that's 60 cents. I was like, God almighty. I remember when 9 cents to mail a letter. And
yeah, we've been shipping since 2019, and our costs have gone up substantially. But it's all about what you're shipping too. I can't use UPS and FedEx unless something's over a pound and it be more economical. Anything less than a pound. So most every order I ship is under a pound. The Postal Service is the best option. They've redone some of their programming and stuff, which has helped. But yeah, I'm getting off track. But I agree, man. The government makes things a little bit more difficult. Pretty much in every area they're involved in.
Healthcare in our country is totally screwed regardless. I've got a friend that's having some major health issues. He's got the best insurance you can get, just about. Works for a huge company, an oil company. And they make him check out of the hospital and go home so they can bring him back to do a PET scan. A guy that's dying needs to be in the hospital. They need to fix him because of insurance. And insurance is hand in hand with the government. And they're both screwing everybody in this country. Our insurance on our liability insurance on all of our buildings went up 30% this year. 30 freaking percent.
And the bad thing is
we didn't have a claim.
Well, it's not only that. It's like everybody else is going to be as expensive. So it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to shop around? That's a fucking nightmare. Shopping for insurance? I'd rather go to the DMV than shop for insurance.
Well, dude, it has a lot more to do with cost of replacement. I mean, like I bought my house in 2021, and my property value has gone up north of 35%. Right. So, and if I were to go build a house right now, that cost is a lot more than it was even 3 years ago, right? So insurance companies you can't expect to pay the same rate for something that replacement cost is, gone up. So it sucks, but it's a reality. And insurance companies are the ones that are going to win every single time.
Oh,
I've paid insurance since I was 16 years old on a vehicle, at least. And, I've maybe made one claim and zero have been my fault. So, I mean, it's one of those things that, it sucks, but you got to have it, because if you don't, you can't even drive. I mean, in North Carolina, you can't drive without insurance.
I remember, not remember, just what's going to happen is, I don't know why anybody insures anybody in the state of Florida. And if you live in Florida, let me explain what I'm talking about. Every 20 years, you're going to have a catastrophic hurricane hit somewhere in that state, just about. Unless you're on the interior, you're going to get, if you're on the edge on the water, you're going to have a hurricane hit you, and you're going to wipe out a bunch of shit. Every 20 years it happens. If you live in southern Louisiana, it's been like every 3 years they've had major hurricanes. I don't understand why an insurance company wants to insure that. And that cost us because they put us in that pool. Just like this hurricane that's going to hit Florida, all we're going to hear about is global warming. That hurricane in 1900 wiped out the whole city of Galveston. Wasn't global warming, it's just a hurricane. It's Mother Nature, it's going to happen. But these people, everything's put in a pool. And then you see these guys out in California, and I saw one yesterday where they go in these stores and they rob these high-end Louis Vuitton stores, and they wipe them out. They carry out $500,000 worth of shit. People are like, it's no big deal. They got insurance. Well, why do you think our insurance rates are going up? It's because of shit like that.
Oh, yeah, it's 100%. It's 100% for that. I mean, absolutely. And it's just but you're not going to change it. And that's the thing.
There's not an answer.
Like, it's not.
All right, let's talk Combat Waterfowl.
I wish I knew how to fix the health insurance. I'd be a rich man.
If you could health insurance is a major problem. It's never going to be fixed. Gay marriage isn't ever going to be fixed, and abortion isn't going to be fixed. If you're a politician, you need to just stay away from all three of them. There's not an answer. There's not an answer to any three of those.
Yeah, there is.
What's the answer?
Let the state handle it.
That's not an answer. That's called kicking the can.
Well, kick that motherfucker.
But that's the problem with the national debate. That's what they're going to make it about when you run for president. That's one of the things. The insurance ain't one of them, but abortion and gay marriage, there's not an answer to it. Just let it go.
Let the state handle it.
Well, there you go. All right, let's talk Combat Waterfowl. Y'all have got cool shirts. Y'all make all kinds of. You have an unusual shirts that other people are starting to copy. You've noticed that, correct?
Absolutely.
Now at Delta, I noticed that Duck Hodges bought you have a Lainey Wilson shirt, correct?
Yes, we call her Lainey Bilson.
Lainey Bilson.
Yes, we did.
And I saw Duck buy one for her. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah. I talked to him when he came up. He saw it and he was like, "Holy shit, I gotta have this."
Oh, I see it right here.
Has Lainey wore it yet? I wonder.
I don't know. I do know that he texted me and asked me if I could get him a print of that done. So I have that being done now to send to him and Lainey, like on canvas. He wanted that printed on canvas.
I love that. That's a cool shirt.
I think your mom bought that shirt.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. She bought a couple of shirts, and I think that's one of them she bought. I don't know.
So where did all this inspiration come from? Like, you know, I mean, you got Trump stuff. I mean, you got a lot of cool stuff, not just Trump stuff, but I mean, you got a lot of cool takes on duck hunting shirts.
Yeah, so let's kick it back to 2019 when this was absolutely not at all the direction we wanted to go. I wanted to be different. We wanted to be different from the onset. And originally our thought process was we're going to have all these different series, right? We're going to have like the 41 series, and we'd showcase a beautiful photographic representation of every single one of the 41 species in their natural habitat doing what they do. Then we'd have the guide series. We showcase all these different hunting styles all across the United States. And then, we'd have the lifestyle series, and we'd show, preseason prep, decoy carving, decoy refinishing, all this stuff that we do as waterfowlers, and we'd showcase those things. And we put it out there. Granted, we were a startup, and so we didn't get a lot of traction on it. And we did a shirt that we called Coots Unlimited, and we basically like mirrored the font that Ducks Unlimited uses, and we put a coot on it, and it went over really well. And then we did this Croc shirt back in the day, and it went over well. And what we discovered was that our following was latching onto this funny, right. And so after the coot shirt got nixed because I guess some random lodge in Wisconsin has class 25 reproduction rights on the name Coots Unlimited. So they sent us a cease and desist letter, had to stop printing the shirts. And so we're sitting there and trying to figure out what we're going to do, and needed a new coot shirt. So my boy Cody called up, and he was like, "Hey, dude, we need another coot shirt." I was like, "Yeah, you're right." And I was like, but if we're going to do another coot shirt, like, it needs to be absolutely ridiculous. So we had just started working with this graphic designer, and I called him up and I was like, "Hey, listen, you have got to hear me out. Let me get this idea out. And before you say a word, like, just don't say a word before I'm done." And I was like, "We need a coot standing on a mountain of Busch Light cans with a big ass gold chain and an American flag in the background." And he just started laughing, dying laughing. And that shirt came out November of 2020. And that's really Cooticus. We named him Cooticus. And so the thought process even then was to create these characters or these personas and allow them to basically have their own story to tell. And it went nuts, man. And that kind of pushed us into the whole parody aspect, just because our following wanted funny. And me mainly, I wanted different. I don't want to be like any other business that exists, because that's something that one of the values in our business that I hold true and that I hold close is that we're not like anybody else at all. And these characters, as they develop, they kind of do different things, and they all, though, have waterfowl elements. There's something in our product for everyone, and that's something that is pretty unique. I use Ribeye Ralph as an example for this. Ribeye Ralph is a sandhill crane, okay? So we took a sandhill crane and we put him in the back of a helicopter, a Chinook helicopter with the ramp down, and he's sitting there with a grill, and he's grilling a steak. And it's funny because the waterfowl hunters like ribeye in the sky, right. Like, this is fucking hilarious. But somebody who has no clue about what any of that inside knowledge would be like, "Oh, this is cool. This is a duck in the back of a helicopter grilling a steak. That's funny." And there's something in it for everyone. And regardless of really where you are in your waterfowl career, there's something you can identify with. And that's kind of the route that we took, and it's done us really well. And I'm super thankful for the response from the community on it.
Morgan Collins got to get updated. He's got no hair now.
Yeah, so there is another Morgan Collins shirt coming out in the spring. He will have hair though. but it's I'm pretty excited about it. It's gonna be I don't know. Should I release that? Should I tell you guys about that? It's gonna be pretty
Yeah,
funny.
go ahead. I mean, whatever you're comfortable sharing. Because, I mean, it's going to come out this spring, so people can wait and get a little excited.
Morgan Wallen and Lil Durk did a little partnership, and they went old bass fishing. So we got Morgan Collin and Lil Duck coming at you in this side.
What Kudakis? You've got Continental Kudakis. So what, like you said, like these characters just kind of take on different adventures.
Yeah, so Continental Kudakis specifically, he's George Washington crossing the Delaware River. And so he's got his little boat full of homies, and they're all different species of waterfowl in there. So somebody that, has historical knowledge or military knowledge is going to see that, and that's a pretty iconic image, and they're going to know, like, okay, this is funny. Like, this is a spin on the Continental Army. And not all of our shirts are military related, obviously. We latch on to current events and some things. We have a program called the Fowl Society. It's a subscription service. We can get a little bit more into stuff that we couldn't necessarily put on our main line. A couple months ago, we had a mandarin duck that went out for our subscribers that was he was shipping COVID to the United States. It was pretty damn funny. So just like little stuff, man, I just try to come up with ideas that people can relate to and people find funny, and it's funny to see these characters develop. We've done a lot more with music in the last year or so, and that's kind of been I guess last year was a new take on the parody, just because music is something that so many people can relate to from so many different walks, and so we've done some of that, and it's gone over really well as well.
Anybody that you do a shirt of should be honored that you would copy them or make fun of them. That should be a humbling experience for them. For anybody to get upset about that would be stupid. Copy is the biggest flattery in the world.
It took me a long time to have that thought process, though. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw some of the first there are a couple brands out there that tried to do some stuff of us, I was pissed. Like I was pissed at first, and then now it's kind of, I guess it means that I've done something right. If somebody's willing or wanting to kind of go off into the realm of what we're doing, then I guess at this point I kind of take it as an honor. And social media does its thing, man. As much as I honestly hate it, it kind of does its own thing. People will be like, yeah, you guys are trying to walk on Combat Waterfowl, and I don't even have to say it anymore. There was an issue a couple months ago. We had these two kids from Georgia decided to start this apparel business, and they literally photocopied one of our designs and changed the logo on a cooler and put it online for sale. And I was like, yeah, bro, I'm going to need you to take that down. Like we own the copyright to that. And you literally just changed the logo on the cooler.
Yeah, that's wrong. But for anybody to copy anybody, and for the people, let's say like Lainey Wilson, if she got mad about it, she should be that's a big thing. There's 1,000 people out there cutting music would love to have you making fun of them on a shirt or copying them on a shirt.
Yeah, I mean, Duck seemed to say that she loved it. I haven't spoken to her, obviously, but apparently she really liked the design. A couple weeks ago, I filmed a Sean Stimley concert in Nashville, or outside of Nashville, and Morgan Wallen's cousin was there, and he took a picture of the shirt. So I'm sure by this point, Morgan Wallen has seen the Morgan Collins shirt. And so I don't know his response on that yet, but I assume he'd probably find it pretty damn funny.
You should be honored that someone thinks of you enough that way. I mean, that's just the way it is about life. I mean, do you agree, Andy?
Yeah. I mean, they're not offensive. None of these shirts are offensive. It's just
it's not like we're making fun of them. We took their representation and put it, like, the Morgan Collins shirt. He's got a Tennessee duck call as a microphone. He's wearing a orange and white hat. It's elements of who they are as a person personified into ducks and waterfowl species. It's I don't know, man. It's pretty different.
It's not like you've got a picture of him no showing for a concert or anything negative he done. You do the good shit. So he should
passed out in the back, too hungover to make it on stage.
Have a bunch of hens around him.
Allegedly, that's the story. Maybe it wasn't.
He's on vocal
maybe
rest,
maybe his
okay?
voice did really go out. I'm gonna say his voice really did go out. Probably happened.
Well, regardless,
Yeah.
I think what y'all got is a really good thing going on. Y'all have had a ton of growth. What's the future? We doing more coolers, more shirts? What's the plans?
Man, yeah. So obviously the parody aspect of the brand is going to stay where it's at. I think it's pretty solidified in that. Anytime we've ever tried to dive off into doing anything too serious, it really just doesn't. Our following kind of kicks us in the dick for it, just because it's not who we are. I do think that there will be some outerwear that comes and things. Nothing. I'm not trying to take anybody's spot. There's Shin and Sitka and all these businesses that produce such high quality top end gear that I don't want to dive into that space. But yeah, maybe some jackets, some shorts, some things like that, some leisure wear. I think you'll see some of that. The duck parody stuff isn't going anywhere. I just submitted all the designs for our spring line a couple days ago, and I'm really excited to see those come to fruition. And I mean, there's the beauty of it is that you'll never run out of, I'll never run out of ideas. I'll never run into a situation where I don't know what to do. And that's kind of cool because there's always something happening in the world. There's always something to do with parody. It never goes away. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Our wholesale stuff, our wholesale side of things has really grown in the last 2 years, and we're getting looked at by some bigger stores. And so I guess hopefully the future just looks like a continuation of the past, and that's growth. I definitely don't want to stop what I'm doing at all. I love this.
How long does it take to get like a new design? What is it? 3 months? And how are you doing it? Do you have like a guy that's hand sketching all of this stuff or what?
Yeah. So they're all digitally painted by hand. So if you zoom in on these, they're really, it's art. If you zoom in on it, that the AI files are high resolution. You can sit there and you literally see the brush strokes in the work. So as far as time goes, there are a couple of events that have happened back in the beginning part of the year. I don't know if you guys remember seeing Dustin driving through that cornfield full of decoys. Yeah, so I flipped that design out in, I think, 3 or 4 days. So if I need something, I can get it relatively quickly. Normally, I plan for a spring and a fall release, and then our Fowl Society gets a new shirt every single month. So the Fowl Society stuff I usually build 4 to 6 months in advance and kind of have it strategically planned throughout the year. And the business used to do 1 shirt a month. Every month we drop a new shirt. And when we started getting a lot bigger into wholesale, we had to go to seasonal releases just because a wholesale client's not going to want to order the only shirt that you have in January. They're going to want to order 6 shirts or 8 shirts. So you gotta have more designs available.
Somebody should have jumped on that crazy lady on the plane and did a shirt about her.
I thought about it so hard, dude. I really did. But I couldn't do it. We had a bunch of
what would you put on her? Like what duck would you turn her into? And that's another thing. So what's weird is going to her. She's speaking now. She's coming out, but
she's good looking too.
When she went to the airport just recently, because TMZ did like a whole, they followed her or whatever, and like the lady's about to fly again. She dressed identically to the way that she looked when she got thrown off of that plane. So if you don't want the notoriety, put on a baseball hat, put on a jogger and a shirt or a jacket, and walk through the fucking airport, and you're going to get on the plane, no problem. She did her hair almost identically to the way that she had it. She wore almost the exact same shirt. Like, she went there. She went to the airport. She claims she wants to be left alone. She went to the airport looking exactly like she looked in that fucking video. So it's like, lady.
Yeah. I don't think she's trying to hide from the notoriety.
Oh no, she's definitely a magnet for it. But you can but that's literally going to be her whole life. That's a personality trait now for her. And that's the unfortunate part. Like people that have clout or people that are in a certain place, they don't want to really be identified and seen. They want to be treated just like you and I are and walk, like I put my pants on one leg at a time too. Those people like that though, they want people to identify them, and that's how that becomes a personality trait.
I wonder, I'm surprised she's not on a no-fly zone.
No-fly list?
A no-fly list. I'm really surprised by
that. I don't know, man. Maybe it's publicity for the airline too. I don't know, man. I tend to think that there's ulterior motives behind a lot of things that people do.
I don't even know what she done. I don't know what
She's not
I know what
she's not
she
talking
did.
about it. She's
That's
not talking
right,
about
but
it. I can't tell you what I saw. Or is what
I saw something.
Said the guy's eyelids went from side to side instead of up and down.
She was drunk. She went viral, and now she's going to go to the airport dressed the same, hair done up the same. That way everybody knows, hey, I was the lady.
There's that crazy bitch.
Oh, you think how flattering. You saw my video. Yeah, just whatever, lady. But
anyways, that would have been a cool shirt.
She kept coming on as like a victim and all this other shit, and it's like, get over yourself. If you want this to go away, just make it go away.
But I don't know what duck I would have used for her, but
it would have been funny though.
Yeah.
What else was that? I had another thing off of that. Oh, so it's seasonal releases, so it's just like spring and fall?
Yeah, so our main line drops in the spring and drops in the fall. So we'll have another main line drop in more than likely in February, and then we'll have another one drop in July. And then we'll wedge stuff in here and there. Like I got some plans for a holiday shirt of a limited release and things like that'll come. And so it's just trying to manage it all.
You have cool things.
It's more
and people will come back to your website to see what you have. Excuse me, I have a cold, so excuse me.
As long as you're not interrupting my monologue with that.
Okay, I'm interrupting my own.
Yeah.
But you have cool things, and people are going to come back to your website to see what new designs you have all the time. That's the way it goes on anybody that's cutting edge, and it's really neat. And people are going to copy you, but y'all have a one of a kind. Whoever your graphic artist is very talented. Very talented.
Oh yeah, I will not disagree with you there. He's top shelf for sure.
How did you come across this guy?
Years of coming across the wrong ones. Yeah, and I mean, dude, that's probably one of my number one questions that I get asked. Who does your graphic work? Does your graphic work? I can't do it. He wants me to, like tell people and bring in more clients. The problem is like understanding of this industry. I bring him a lot of work, and I feel like I had to kind of get to that point of finding someone capable of doing that kind of stuff. And if I just put that information out there for the world to see, I'm shooting my own self in the foot because I have something that a lot of other people don't. And he works with some other large brands. I mean, he does a different style of art for them. And, kind of what we have going on though, it's a dog. The apparel world is a dog eat dog world. And any industry is going to be that way too. I mean, guiding industry, I'm sure you guys see that as well. But it's one of those things that I kind of keep in my pocket just because I don't want to put that out there.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a match made in heaven because, you can get these ideas and then he can make them come to life. So I wouldn't be, throwing that out there. I'm looking at your Mandarin duck now shipping COVID to the United States. That's funny.
Yeah, that one ran into a little issue with the printing company with that one. They almost wouldn't print it.
Oh, really?
And then we had my rep with the printing company and a couple of other folks that worked there went to bat for me and it went through, thank God.
Why would a company not do that? They're making money selling shirts. It doesn't make any sense at all why they wouldn't do that shit.
Yeah, and that's the conclusion that it came to. Initially, it was a fear of being aligned with that, and I think they realized rather quickly that wasn't going to be a good idea. And so, anyway, they did print the shirt, and it went forward, and all of that. And so, no problems to speak of to date with it, but it almost didn't happen, and that would have been.
Well, I mean,
you have to know your audience.
Well, it's not just that. It's like, I'm sure you can find another printing company probably pretty easily.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, not pretty easily, just because our artwork is super complex, and so we've gone through several other printing companies, and we're very happy with what we have now, and you know, there's probably 3 or 4 companies in the country that can print our work,
Really?
and that's just
because there's so many different colors and variations, and just everything is very precise. It's not just a logo of something.
Right. It's not just a font. It's not just a simple word mark or a logo mark. I mean, this is true art. Most of our work's printed in 21 colors. And that's one thing that, like, a lot of people, I've gotten a couple of comments about. I won't say a lot of people, but I've gotten a couple of comments about, you know, the pricing on our stuff. Well, you know, it's expensive to print that kind of work, but it is not what you would get from something else. I mean, you're looking at 21 color art. This is stuff that there's 21 different screens and a lot of these shirts that are laid up against each other to make this what it is. And so I think, you know, once people can understand what that is and how it is, and we choose to use screen printing because it's durable, it lasts a long time, it's not super heavy on your back. We could print these a hell of a lot cheaper if we did vinyl transfers, but vinyl transfers just are not, they're not the same, and the quality isn't there. So
it's kind of like the cake with the baker and the gay people. If you don't want to bake a gay cake for a gay wedding, let's say, not a gay cake, a cake for a gay wedding, don't make the damn thing. If you're a gay guy, and you're upset because they don't want to do your gay cake, go somewhere else and spend money. Why give money to that guy if you don't like him? I don't understand that.
Yeah,
but my printer prints my shirts. If he printed your shirts and it offended me, then I'd be like, well, fuck, I'll just go somewhere else. But most people don't. I mean, I don't. If, like, for example, the guy that does our shirts, if he did a pro-abortion shirt, I'm still going to send my business to him. I'm not going to go somebody else. That's what he wants to print the shit. That's his business, not mine. So for them to,
well, that's the way that I look at it too. I mean, the business, the end business, the end consumer is the customer, right?
Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, he's just printing shirts. He's just doing his job, and he's getting paid for it. If I went in there and I wanted the most radical shit on the planet printed, and I was going to sell it through my business, the print shop's end customer is me. My end customer is up to, you know, the following or the economy at that point. If they want to support me, they'll support me. If they don't, then they won't. And it's the same thing it's the same thing that we deal with. There's a lot of people that don't like what we do. We put rappers on t-shirts, you know, we make stupid videos and we edit videos to rap music. You know, there's a lot of people that don't like that, and that's fine. That's, you know, I'm not begging you to support me. All I'm asking is that, you know, you can look at it and keep scrolling. You can look at it. You can make a dumb comment. You can do whatever you want. I mean, it's the fact that there's people out there that do support me is the people that I try to focus on, and I try not to let negativity really bother me too much, man.
Our business is simple because we're in a unique market. If you're in the waterfowl business, 90%, probably pretty close to 90% of our customers all think pretty close the same on everything. Politics, religion, history, whatever it is, we all pretty much in the same box. You got to know your role, you know? If you're Coca-Cola and you make a stance, you're in every group. So your decisions or McDonald's are going to affect you different than they are. We can do stuff that McDonald's can't do because we're not going to piss somebody off that's one of our customers anyways, because our base is about all the same. And yours is the same way.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's one of those things too. Like I'll use the Trumpeter Rally shirt as an example, right? So we took a Trumpeter Swan and we turned him into Donald Trump. So even somebody who hates Donald Trump would probably still find that shirt funny because we took him and turned him into a bird, and they'll be like, damn, that's funny. But somebody who's a Donald Trump supporter would identify with that and say, hey, look, like they took Donald Trump and they turned him into a swan. This is hilarious. So it's really like, I didn't label that as a pro-Trump shirt. I put Donald Trump on a shirt with a Secret Service of coots behind him. I didn't put a Trump 2024 flag in his hand or anything like that. And I even from that standpoint, I try to stay as neutral as I can from a business standpoint. I've got gay customers. I've got customers of all different things and stuff like that. And it's more or less, I guess, reverting back to the beginning is I don't care what you believe. If you can identify with my product, then I'm happy.
What are you gonna do, a Joe Biden shirt?
Man, so when he was in office, we did a hiding from Biden shirt that was a very limited thing. That was pretty damn funny. But I have not thought about doing another one. I did have a little thought cross my mind about doing doing one of him falling off a bike.
Or falling asleep.
Yeah, I hadn't done it though. That would be pretty damn funny.
People would buy that, not because they like Joe Biden, but because it's funny as shit.
Once again, what bird do you give Joe Biden?
The dumbest fucker out there.
What would it be?
Probably a cormorant.
Cormy? Yeah, Cormy.
Like cormorant. We'd have to turn him into
What about a dodo bird?
Crow Biden.
That would be
what
good.
What did he say?
Crow Biden.
Biden?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of places you can go. So, whenever you tell your graphic designer, hey, I need something like that's not, this outrageous shirt, or is he kind of like, well, fuck? Like I'm looking at one here, and you got teal, you got pintails, and they're all like coming out of a marsh with a lighthouse behind it. Whenever he has to do something like that, is he like, well, shit? Like I was hoping that I was gonna get to do something fun and outrageous.
Well, so that particular shirt that you're talking about was a charity shirt that we did to benefit some kids that died in a plane crash on the last youth day a couple years ago. So that was a totally different purpose, and obviously, he was super excited to be able to be a part of that shirt, and he did a great job.
Yeah,
of
it's
that.
a beautiful.
And there's
shirt.
a lot of little. So the clouds are in the shape of Carteret County, which is the county that it happened in. You've got the four Drake teal, which represent the four little boys, and you've got the two Drake pintails that represent the two men that died, and a hen pintail that represents the woman that died. So that's kind of a totally different.
That's a heavy fucking shirt right there, dude.
Yeah, and so that happened kind of down east. So you've got some down east flair, you've got some oysters, you've got some shrimp boats and things like that are all representative of that area. You can see the lighthouse in the background is Cape Lookout, which is the lighthouse that we have here in Carteret County near where they died. So yeah, the shirt that you just chose to use as an example
was a terrible idea. Was a terrible example.
But that goes to tell you the extent of my mind and the way I think about things. Right. And I wanted these little elements of things that somebody would notice that, somebody that's from this area, somebody that's connected to that event would see that and be like, holy shit. But just you looking at it, you're like, wow, I mean, this is just a pretty shirt. So it's a lot. That's kind of what I want. I try to hide little elements in designs that speak to different people.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, or I was looking at it whenever you were explaining everything. Like I didn't see the oysters, I didn't see the shape of the county. So yeah, that's. And then like whenever you were breaking down the ducks and what it represented. What a shitty shirt I picked to fucking be like, hey, does he ever get bored making like standalone shirts? Well, actually not, because this one has a shitload of meaning, and you're just an insensitive asshole.
No, I mean you just saw it as a generic shirt because you had no knowledge or tie to that incident. Right. So, yeah, I mean I don't think you're an insensitive asshole. Maybe
just a flat earther.
Flat Earth asshole is all that you are.
A flat Earth. That's a real flat Earth thing for you to do.
Yeah. So, how much hunting do you get to do? Are you always like burning down the midnight oil trying to figure out the next great design, or are you out quite often?
No, man. Yeah, I hunt pretty much from the beginning of September through February, man. And that's kind of one of the things that we started this year was in 5 years, I never had a tagline for this business. And this year I finally came up with one, and it's called True to the Sport. And so we put it on a couple of our hats, and we hunt, and it's as real as it gets. I don't sit behind a keyboard all the time, and we get out there and we do a lot of freelance hunting. I would say the majority of the hunting that we do is freelance. We're thankful to have a great network of guys. We call them gunners. They're all over the United States. I hate the word I fucking hate the word pro staff, like it with every bone in my body. I hate that word. And so we went a different direction with our program. We call it Gunners. And basically, you know, they're all over the place, and, you know, we'll go and I'll go stay at their house. In a couple weeks, I'm going to stay with one of our guys down in South Texas, and we're going to go shoot some teal and hang out, shoot the shit. I'll stay at his house, and we get to do things the way that they do them. And it's a super cool thing. You know, typically October and November is when we load up our trailer and we go north. And this year I'm going to spend a couple weeks in Canada driving around freelancing. And then every year we go to North Dakota and do a bunch of freelancing there. And so it's just one of those things that, like, I'm sick for this sport, and I get the opportunity, thankfully, to experience all the flyways and a bunch of different types of hunting. And so it's a fun time, man. And so in between that is when we're handling customer service. And, you know, the past couple of years you fly home, pack orders, or drive home, pack orders, and go back out and get back after it. And so this year we've got employees helping pack orders, and so that kind of helps a lot. This is my first year with employees, so that's exciting. I get to focus more on hunting and editing content. I shoot all the media for our stuff. I run all the social media channels and all of that on my own. And so I'll get the opportunity to focus on that more, which I'm really excited about.
That's a bigger fucking grind than coming up with T-shirts. I hate social media. Hate it. Capital letters. I'm fucking over it.
I hate it too, man. But I can't ignore that if I didn't have it,
100%.
And so it's shitty, and it takes an insane amount of time to be able to do all that. And I'll say though, like it's unlocked. I guess I should say reinvigorated a passion of mine, and that's running a camera. I realized early on that in this business that quality media is a requirement of an apparel business. And so it's definitely pushed me to pick camera back up. I started when I was 13 doing photography and stuff, but more so with this is everything's gone to video. And so I've picked up a bunch of, I still got a long way to go. I'm far from an industry icon in the media space, but what we do works for us, and I'm always trying to learn more and do better and get better. And so it's been fun to challenge myself from that respect. Also, a couple years ago, I got a really nice dog, and so I guess I view the sport a lot differently now than I did a few years ago, because my focus is running my dog and running a camera. And, you know, if I shoot, more than likely it's at first light when my camera's you have to focus a lot on adjusting your settings, or it's, you know, towards the end of the hunt, and I'm trying to capture more film and work my dog.
Yeah. I'm on a dry spell right now. Like I was hitting my stride, and, you know, every video I did, it was going viral, and like I've gone a month without hitting one good. I can understand the casino now. I used to never understand going to the casino or anything like that, but social media was truly addicting, because I had several videos on Facebook go, I don't know, 3 million views, 2 million views, shit like that. And TikTok was blowing up. And then I am on a dry spell. I am on a cold streak. And it's one of those things. Are you making stuff that sucks? Has the algorithm changed to where people just aren't seeing it?
Yes.
Or, I mean, is it a combination of the two? I don't know.
The algorithm changes on a regular, at least if you're talking about TikTok specifically, the algorithm changes on a regular basis. And so what's trending changes, and it's so much shit to stay in front of it. Frankly, I can't. I just do what I do. And if something catches, then great. That's the way that I have to look at it anymore. It's one of those things, man, you know, all the little particulars, like how long is your video? You know, that matters. When you post matters. What kind of, does your video have words or contain words that help categorize? I mean, all this shit matters. Are you using a trending sound? Does the video not have any sound at all? There's a million different things that can go into that to make it good or not good, I guess, in the algorithm's eyes, and it's impossible to try and stay on top of it.
And then like YouTube, I was doing really good on YouTube, and like the last video I posted, because you do shorts on YouTube, and I mean, the last one I did had 46 fucking views. It's like, I was hitting a couple thousand on all of my shorts, like routine clockwork. And then for whatever reason, yesterday's was 46. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But
yeah, I had a spell where I kept getting community guidelines flagged on TikTok, and I had to figure out how to film for TikTok or how to edit,
right.
I guess, for.
Yeah, that was another thing. I got hit with one of those, and ever since then, it has just been a gradual decline on TikTok.
You have to film and edit differently for TikTok specifically, because they have, like, I figured out though that, like, you can typically post a dead duck as long as it's in a duck's mouth and in a dog's mouth.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you stand there and you hold up a string of mallards or something,
Right.
you're done. Like, you go ahead and end your account. But now you kind of get away with it if it's in a dog's mouth. As long as there's no sounds of gunshots when a bird, like, I've done a couple videos that I got away with where a bird's getting shot, but I'll switch the clip or I'll end the video as soon as, like, obviously you can tell that bird's been hit, and I'll just cut.
Yeah. And with that, I don't really post on the TikTok. I don't really post any hunting stuff. It's just like clips of the podcast and stuff. But the one that got flagged, I posted a teaser for our new YouTube series, First Family Waterfowl Season 2. And a new episode was coming out, and I was like, this looks pretty tame. Like, there's no blood and guts, and evidently it was too much for TikTok. So I got smacked with community guidelines, and I was like, okay, not going to do that again. And then ever since then, it's just been a trickle. So I told, like, it's amazing how much time it actually takes to make a shitty 1 minute video. And then when it doesn't do well, you're like, well, today was a fucking waste.
Yeah, I mean, but that same video, and I've watched this happen. Like, I'll make a video that I can use on TikTok. I'll post the same video on Instagram. I'll post the same video on YouTube Shorts or whatever, and one platform will pick it up and it'll go. So in that respect, I guess it's not a waste, but it's just frustrating, man. Like, and there's so many good videographers and so many good editors out there that experience the same things, and it's annoying. But it is what it is, and it's social media without it. You guys are a little different area, I guess. On the hunting side, on your guiding side, but certainly on the podcast side, I mean, social media is huge for your podcast.
Yeah.
So from that respect, I'm sure you can relate to that too.
It just staying on top of everything. It's frustrating, but like you said, it's a necessary evil. Like, you have to do it now. If you don't do it now, then, you're not going to reach anybody new, and it's just, you have to do it. And I understand it's just a numbers game is all that it is. Like you said, make a couple videos, post them on all the channels, and if one of them hits, great. And that's kind of the mindset that you have to have.
That's the way I go about it, and it keeps on keeping on. Like I said, I try to always better myself, and if I see, if I watch a creator's video and, I'm like, man, that was super clean how they do that. I would really love to learn how to get better at this technique or this thing. And so I'll just bust out several videos and hammer them down and try to do what I can do to get better. And I use it as a growing opportunity.
Is it just you that owns this, or do you have a partner?
So we started with 2 other partners. So it was a 3-way partnership. It is just me now.
Riding solo. Everything starts and ends with you.
That's it.
Were you like a little hesitant about that? Like, when it started with the 3 of you and now it's just you? Like, that's a lot of responsibility.
No. So early, like I said, we started with 3, and the other 2 guys were active duty at the time, some of my best friends. And one of the guys as he was getting out of the military, he was kind of struggling, and the business was occupying a lot of his time that he needed to focus on in other areas, and so he stepped away. And then that was within probably, I think, the first year of the business being around. And then a year or 2 ago, it went into all me, kind of similar situation. One of the guys was getting out, and he was going through some stuff, and it just wasn't the business was not what he needed to focus on at the time. Right. And so to say that, I was kind of already doing the majority of everything anyway. So it just kind of worked out, and it took an insane fucking amount of time do all that. Like you're talking about with social media and stuff, I was doing that, but I was also packing orders. I was also coming up with designs. I was dealing with all of our vendor relations for the production companies and all of that stuff, and like everything, trade shows, all that, everything. And so now I still do an insane amount of stuff, but I have help now. There's no way that I could do it without help at this point, especially with all the trade shows and stuff that we go to and that we do. It would be impossible to do without the people that we have helping us.
Do you sell more shirts? I mean, do you see a big increase at the trade shows? Or
man, we sell a ton of hats. We sell just as many hats, I think, as we do shirts. Right. And so yeah, we do well. We do well at shows. Mainly, I think obviously the product speaks to that, but I think too, just kind of the vibe, man. Like we do us. We have fun, and people want to be a part of that. And so they'll hang out in the booth, have fun, buy some stuff, and you'll see people hanging out in the booth. I'm sure, Jeff, you saw that. Like we just have fun, and I think that contributes a lot to it as well.
I think a lot of things that really help is people selling shirts at a hunting show. Is guys, people want to buy something. You can buy your kids, you can buy your wife something, and you're not going to spend $10,000. And I think they go there and they think, that's a cool shirt. I want that shirt. And they're like, you know what? I'll buy that because I want to leave with something good. And that's something good that they're buying from you. And
yeah, absolutely.
And it goes to a good place, and they're happy with that. And you have a unique style. And I think that's a real good thing. You're looking across the deal, you can buy a set of, I don't know, decoys for $1,000, or you can buy a T-shirt over there, and you can think about buying them decoys. But you want to go home with something good that you're proud of and it's tangible you can hold. And I think that does a lot of good. And y'all do have a good time. And y'all had a lot of people at y'all's booth all the time.
I think that a lot of people, like trade shows for me, are when the benefit, I guess, of them is like you're impacting, most of the time you're impacting people that have never seen your stuff before. Right. So somebody who's going to your website obviously got referred to them. They didn't just in the middle of the night, some random person get something pop in their head. So, I'm going to go to combatwaterfowl.com. No, like they got referred. They saw it somewhere, whether it was social media, whether it was they saw it on somebody's back walking around town or what. Like a website sale is always a referral. A trade show is an opportunity for you to impact somebody who has never seen your stuff before. And then at the same time, they get to speak to somebody who can explain to them the purpose behind it, or the all the little intricacies of things, and they can identify with it. And so I personally enjoy trade shows. Trade shows are probably one of my favorite parts of this business, just because I'm interacting not only with, new customers and customers that have never seen our stuff, but catching up with people that, do follow us all the time and want to sit and hang out with us. And then, obviously, especially like the Delta show, just the industry networking from the waterfowl aspect and getting to meet all of these people that I've followed for years and that I've watched for years. You guys being one of them. I think the first episode of this podcast that I was exposed to was the Call Me Jim one.
Which one was that? Was that the guy in China?
The guy from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Oh.
They remained anonymous.
We had a couple. We had like two back to back. Call Me Jim, and then the one with the guy that we're going to see next weekend. No, what was the guy? What did we call him? Fuck, I can't remember now.
That was Nacho Libre.
No, it wasn't Nacho Libre. We're going to see that guy in a couple weeks, so he won't come back on a podcast. I told him we could like fuck with his voice and do all sorts of stuff, but
it's going to wear me out trying to figure out who the fuck. I know who it is. I just can't think of the name we used for him.
There was Call Me Jim, and there was one more. I don't remember it. Yeah, both of those were fun. Yeah, we get some characters out here for sure.
Ain't no doubt.
I mean, they go hard in the paint, some of them. Is your booth a bitch to set up? Because it looks like a bitch to set up. No? Super easy?
Nope. It's incredibly easy. I roll it out of the trailer and roll it straight to the booth. I can run my entire booth off a 110 plug. I can go into a trade show expo, drop the ramp on my trailer, and be out with my booth fully set up within 45 minutes.
Really? You have mastered that.
It took years of failing at having other booth designs that took substantially longer to figure out what would be faster. and what a customer's eyes would be drawn to. And our booth is something that I think really helps to accentuate the product and get people engaged. And it's something that I really think we have nailed down. There's always room for improvement on anything, but I think we've gotten pretty damn close.
I don't know. Like, that's a beautiful booth. And the fact that you can do it in 45 minutes and just be done is something, because we had those shitty booths forever, and that took us 45 minutes. We had big booths, and that was a fucking nightmare. You want to see Jeff and Tony fight? Take them to a hunting show and make them set up that big heavy ass booth. There were some fucking arguments.
There's 3 pieces. Actually, there's 4. So the two sides that have the shirts, they're on casters. The centerpiece that holds just hats is on casters, and then the checkout stand is also on casters. And literally, dude, you just roll it out. The front has facing boards, so while we load that booth here at the shop, and we put it in the trailer, strap it down, and drive to wherever we're driving, drop ramp, unstrap, roll out, and then take facing boards off. The top is, we have little mannequins that we built, so they just screw into the top on bases. I've got a run of landscape lights that literally just plug and play, man. You drop it on top, and it's all in a string. So there's a hub in the back. You plug it in, one drop cord. It takes no time to set up.
I do not miss.
Boy, Jeff, y'all fucked up 20 years.
Do not miss at all having to set up booths like that.
Remember that big heavy ass one that we had that was all like plywood and 2x4s?
Yeah, that's back when they had regular TVs. We didn't even have flat screen TVs. We had a deal to put a TV on, like an on wall. I mean, we had cutting edge of what they had.
Cutting edge of what the fucking lumberyard had.
Well, that's all booths were that way back then. They didn't have the ones that they have now.
Well, this shit's heavy as hell. Let me not get it twisted. That thing is heavy as shit.
No. But it had ours didn't have wheels. Ours had Andy and Tony on the other side of it while Jeff held the door for us.
Well,
that's what it had.
Yeah.
And then I can remember that we had a big TV back when it was the box TV, so it was this wide and this deep, and like it sat above it. Tony built this thing. And he built it to where the TVs would obviously be above the crowd so that you could see it when you're walking up.
Right.
And like getting those, he had two TVs. We'd do 2 TVs. And getting those heavy motherfuckers up there, I can't tell you how many times either the TV almost spilled, a thrown out back on Thursday night setting up for a Friday show. Like the TVs were a debacle every time. And I don't miss it.
Then he came up with a flat screen TV when we first went to the flat screens. Yep. We had a deal, and we had a retractable deal that you raised up and you had to put pins in it. And I was always afraid someone's going to lose a thumb on that deal.
Yeah, it was basically angle iron, and he drilled holes in it, and then the screws would go in it, or a cotter pin or something like that. When you take cotter pins out, the motherfucker will slam down.
And welded a big plate on the bottom where it was heavy enough. It was just...
We're not efficient.
A lot of changed since then, man. I mean, you can buy pre-sliced bread now at the grocery store.
A lot of changes. But I'm gonna tell you something. My first booth 32 years ago was a table, just a 6-foot table with one of them big fucking heavy ass square TVs on it, a VCR, and a tape of us killing geese. And the booth was put together 2x4s we went to Kinko's and had a piece of paper printed with our logo on it. Oh, fuck.
Kinko's before the show every time.
That's what we used to do.
Every time.
But that's what everybody did back then.
Kinko's would screw something up. Jeff and Tony are getting into an argument because Kinko's, they couldn't do the order in time, and those were some doozies.
We had surround sound. Yeah, we even had surround sound one year on a booth we had. We had a built-in bar in it.
Kinko's isn't open anymore, are they?
Yeah, I think now they're owned by FedEx, though.
Oh.
Yeah, they are.
They are? I thought they went under.
Yeah,
matter of fact, I need to go get some shit printed off right now for dove season.
Fuck. It's a shit show out here every single time. So the fact that you've mastered this, and like you said, you started in 2018, right?
2019, June 1st. 2019.
So our last 3 years we did shows weren't bad though, because we had one of those Chinese booths.
Took you 27 years to get there, Jeff.
They did not have them when we got into business. They did not have. Plus, you can't hang fucking mounts. You can't hang mounts up on that shit. Our first 15 years, you're forgetting we were in business before they even had fucking emails. Think about that. When we first got into waterfowl business, nobody had an email.
They did too.
No, they did not.
I'm gonna look it up.
Look the shit
I'm
up.
gonna look up when
Or who
email
the
was
fuck
invented.
used an email back then? Nobody used an email.
Ron Stanfield.
Was the first
By
person to
God.
have an email. But we've been in business 3 or 4 years before he had an email. Nobody had an email. There was no flat screen TVs.
1965, the email was started.
Well, they weren't using the motherfucker.
Ron did.
I saw 1991. Either way, yeah, long ass time.
Yeah,
ago.
in 1991, there wasn't a lot of motherfuckers using emails. So
1991, I was born, so that's a big difference.
yeah, it is. But you can't convince Andy of that. But there was a whole lot of things different back then compared to now. You know, cell phones.
That shit all the time, man. Like my great grandma was born in 1905. She died in 2007 at 102 years old. Can you just think about
A
that?
lot
for a
of
second?
changes in her life.
Planes, first cars, telephones, the civil rights movement, 2 world wars. I mean, just all this stuff, man. And it was super cool getting to grow up and talk to her because she never, thankfully, never got dementia or anything like that. You know, she passed away from physical ailments. Her heart just quit beating. And and so when you get to like hear the stories and things of people that came from generations prior to us and you sit there and I think about that shit all the time. You know, like I was born, I guess, kind of when cell phones were becoming a thing. But, you know, I remember the first cell phone that I got, I had, you know, get it when I was 16 years old. I had to pay for it. And, you know, any extra stuff, you know, texting was by the text and you had to sit there and push the A button 3 times to get a C. And now it's like totally different. So I can only imagine running a trade show before any of that existed. I'm sure it had to have been all cash. Y'all might have take checks back then.
I love checks. I'd rather take checks now than anything.
Had a knuckle buster.
Checks or cash are my preference of pay. But I had a knuckle buster, and I'd go run your card. You put your card down there, I'd put it on a deal and run it. And then when to get the hotel room at nighttime, I'd have to run to get all the codes for the approval. It was a pain in the ass.
You did that in the hotel? You wouldn't wait till Monday to do it back here?
A lot of times I do it Monday. Sometimes I do it at a hotel, but usually on Mondays.
But was there a number you had to call?
Mm-hmm. Had 800 number you call to get a credit card. You give them the number and the amount, and they'd say approval, and they give you an approval code, B73546 or some shit.
Could you imagine what did a big company like Macy's do? Because in the Christmas Vacation, there's a scene, or no, I think it's Kevin McAllister, Lost in New York. Either way,
it's Christmas Vacation.
There's a knuckle buster scene.
Yeah,
where
it was in Home Alone too.
Yeah.
Also at the hotel, the Plaza Hotel.
But what did a big company like Macy's do during the holiday season when everybody's there and putting it on a credit card? Did they have somebody that their sole job was to call that 1-800 number to
I worked at Kmart.
finalize it?
I worked at Kmart when I was in high school, and we took cards. But I don't remember ever having to call in a card. But cards were not very prevalent then. Believe it or not very many people had credit cards. It wasn't like now where everybody's got a cube and they can run a card on a phone. You couldn't do that shit.
Yeah, well, I understand that.
So I don't know.
But you just got to imagine the volume that Macy's or a big department store has in New York. Like they're gonna
Can you
come across
imagine that
cards.
now? With if you still had knuckle busters and people's card information was just on a piece of paper sitting in some drawer, dude, like people would fucking lose it.
Yeah, that is crazy. For another thing too is back then, I'm trying to think now how you did it. I guess most everything was checks, but there were some cards like American Express made a black card that you didn't even have to run. It was guaranteed good.
So then what do you do if the card's no good?
I don't remember. I mean, I remember when I used to knuckle bust stuff. I used to do knuckle busters, and I would run in I would just run the card, and then I would call them in later. But I had people that give me a bad one, and I would call. But I used to write everybody's phone number down on their card on the little piece of paper, so I'd have it and stuff. And you deal with that.
But I mean, could you imagine selling a T-shirt to somebody, running their card, knuckle busting, and then not knowing if that card is good until you get back to the hotel, or if you were fucking dog tired and you're like, I'll just do it on Monday, and the card's no good?
People,
it's the same thing with checks. It's the same thing with checks now.
Right.
I mean, dude, even now, I've had a wholesale client have a check bounce.
Yeah, I'd rather get checks. I didn't have a check fall. I had a guy's bank got hacked the other day on a pretty big check, and he's got to send me another one. But I haven't had a check returned in years. I'd much rather have checks. But getting a check returned back in the day was not that uncommon.
But now there's a big fee that you have to pay.
Yeah, you got to pay so much, and they do. But my bank,
I don't think they do.
My bank did not charge me. Yeah, they do. If they've got a check that goes back, they charge them a service charge.
No, like my wife has had this happen a couple times in her business, and she gets like a $50 ding for cashing.
I get the charge, and they try to authorize the amount to their bank. Their bank doesn't authorize it because no funds there available, and they don't do overdraft on checks that I know of. Maybe some banking expert out there listening to this might correct this, but we get the penalty as a business.
I know for a fact my wife has got the penalty several times.
If they write a check that's bad, their bank's gonna charge them a $30 to $35 service charge.
But that's what I'm telling you. I've been through this just a year ago.
Both people get hit on it.
I don't.
They do
know
too.
About that.
If you write a check from Citizens Bank up here and it's no good, they're gonna charge you a $35 fee for your check being returned. They're not going to cover it and do it. They're just going to charge you a bank fee. I guarantee you that happens. Now, on your end, they're also going to charge you. The bank did not charge me a dime for ours.
But why is it his fault that he cashed a bad? He didn't know the check was bad.
My bank did not charge me because of this guy's check. They didn't charge.
They charged Jesse.
They didn't charge me.
But I'm saying, as a business owner, why is it the business owner's fault? They didn't know that there were no funds in that account. They're just trying to cash a check and get paid.
Are you asking me like I'm the bank? I don't know. But the bank did not.
Who the fuck come up with this shit? It doesn't make sense.
The bank did not charge me.
Well, you gotta.
I mean, you're fucked either way if you really think about it. Because if you go like now, most of our orders are processed online, obviously, and so I try to have our wholesale clients write checks because then I don't have to pay 3.25%.
Bingo.
Everything is 3.25% that I got to give up automatically. And so that's another thing people don't think of when you go buy something.
Do
Do
you have clients? I've got some big clients that ACH me now.
Yeah, because it's better for you that they do that. Otherwise, they swipe a card and you got to sit there and you got to eat that fee.
Yeah, during January, I have it's crazy the credit card fees that I have for that. It's absolutely stupid what I paid to take. But I would rather take a card for a deposit because you got the guys tied down, I would prefer they send me a check. And when they leave, I'd prefer they pay me cash. Mm-hmm. But they don't always do that. But I would rather have check or cash than I would a card.
Yeah.
I
get that.
I would much rather do that. But things were so much different back then. I mean, I don't remember. First of all, back then, people didn't pay with cards that much. Debit cards is what ruined the cash business. And now you go to places like Andy went and took the boys to get haircuts the other day. They don't take checks or cards, but they got an ATM machine in there. That's smart business. Those people are getting. My
barbershop does the same
shit. They make $5 every time you use your credit card over there. They get $5 extra every time you do it. Then you pay cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
There was something I was going to tack onto that. I can't remember what it was now. But going back to your grandma, have you read this? So this is, imagine you were born in 1900. On your 14th birthday, World War I starts at the end of your 18th and ends on your 18th birthday. 22 million people will perish in that war. Later that year, Spanish flu epidemic hits planet and runs into your 20th birthday. 50 million people die from it in those 2 years. Yes, 50 million. On your 29th birthday, the Great Depression begins. Unemployment hits 25%. World GDP drops 27%. That runs until you're 33. Country nearly collapses along with the world economy. When you turn 29, World War II starts. You aren't even over the hill yet, and you don't try to catch your breath. On your 41st birthday, the United States is fully pulled into World War II. Between your 39th and 45th birthday, 75 million people will perish in that war. 50, North Korea starts. The Korean War starts. 5 million die. 55, Vietnam starts. Doesn't end for 20 years. 4 million people perish. On your 62nd birthday, you got the Cuban Missile Crisis. Tipping point in the Cold War. Life on our planet as we know it should have ended. Great leaders prevented it from happening. When you turn 75, Vietnam finally ends. And yeah, so that's basically your life if you were born in 1900.
Yeah, I've never read that. I've just thought of it. But yeah, I mean, it's really crazy when you think about that, and then you think about what people did with what they had then versus now. You know what I mean? Like she was one of 10, and then she had 10. So, people had big families because they were sharecroppers, right. Man. I mean, they worked other people's land to make by with what they had, and they were able to raise 10 kids on it. And now, you can't barely make $100,000 a year as a household and raise a family. So it's like, you know, and then you're looking at all these interest rates and stuff like that. And I was talking to somebody about that the other day, and people are complaining about interest rates and mortgage rates on houses. And then I was talking to my mom about it, complaining, and she was like, well, son, you know, when you were born and we bought that house in the 80s, in the late 80s, we bought that house and interest rates were 15%. I mean, dude, imagine if a switch flipped and things went from 7-8% where they are right now to 15. Right. Dude, people would not be able to make it.
My grandfather lived to be 99 and 11 months. And he was born.
It's almost like Bob Barker. Got as close to going over $1.
He was
close to
and
that.
he was
legend.
And he lived by himself the whole time. My grandma died at 93, so he lived his last 6 years of his life by himself. Was not mowed his yard, done everything. I mean, he was a very active man. But I asked him in 1987, and he would have been around, I think that he was 75 years old then or something. Anyways, I asked him, I said, Grandpa, I said, do you have a VCR? Jeff, why do I need a VCR? I said, well, you can watch movies and shit. He said, I'm not going to live long enough to learn how to even use that thing. Well, he lived another 30 years.
Damn it.
But the changes that he saw in his life were what you said. But, you know, that's why I grew up without an air conditioner in West Texas. Till I was 12 or 13 years old, we have central heat and air. And so I was used to it, acclimated to it. Didn't bother me. But I didn't know any different. Nowadays, I'm so acclimated in air conditioning, it would drive me crazy.
Oh, I would die. We didn't have air conditioning in Alaska. Nothing. The only place that had air conditioning in Alaska was a hospital, the grocery store, and maybe the movie theater. And you guys I know you're all looking at me cross-eyed, like, why the fuck do you need an air conditioner in Alaska? I'm here to tell you, in Fairbanks, it gets way into the 90s in the summer. Might only be for a month. That shit gets hot.
And it's no fun to be warm. We stayed in upstate Washington last year, and that place didn't have an air conditioner. Well, now, we didn't need it. We were lucky, but if it would have been 90 like it was in Seattle, we'd have been fucking hotter than hell.
Well, my Payne doesn't have it, and where he's at, they don't have any air conditioning in there.
At Fort Lewis.
You call them barracks or dormitory, or what do you call them?
Yeah, it was in a barracks apartments that he was in for a while.
I mean, there's no air conditioning. You just open the window and hope you get a fucking cross breeze. And like he said, like it gets 90, 95, and you deal with it.
Yeah, he was bitching one day. It was 90 degrees there, and he's like, God, it's terribly hot here. I got a fan, boss. It's 112 here. Well, yeah, y'all have fucking air conditioning. You ain't meat in the house. It's a big difference.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, just, you know, we got our own problems here, but, you know, being born in the early 1900s, you saw a lot of shit. And then if you live long enough to see the world transition to what it is now, I mean, you know, they made a big thing because I think, wasn't it Kennedy and Nixon that were they were the first to be on a televised presidential debate?
Probably so.
And that's an interesting thing because the people that listened to it on the radio said Nixon won. But the people that watched it on television, Nixon caught the flu right before that. So he's real pale face. His makeup's running because, you know, he'd been sick for a couple days. Kennedy had just gotten back from Hawaii. So Kennedy is all bronze and tan and, you know, he's looking good and presidential. And you got Nixon over there who's fucking sweating. His makeup's running. Nixon's not a good looking guy anyway. And he's just coming off of the flu. So everybody that watched it on television said that Kennedy won. But people they had a totally different perspective if you listen to it on the radio. So, I mean, and that was what, 1960 something? So, you know, she was an older lady at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, I mean, to me, you know, the wars and all that stuff, but you had so much, the Great Depression and the Roaring 20s and the Great Depression, growing up in that and seeing that switch flip, like growing up and seeing the economy doing what it did, and then when everybody lost everything, and then the big switch with the civil rights movement too. I mean, and just call a spade, a lot of the South was still racist in the early 1900s. And so imagine being raised in that environment, and then you get to 1965 or mid 60s, whenever. I think it was 65, wasn't it?
Yeah,
close
right
to
in
that. It was the 60s when
yes. 60s.
The 60s were a lot of turmoil in the 60s.
And you flip the switch, and now your whole, like, everything that you were raised to believe and told as a child, now you flip the switch. And it's like that, you know, she in 1905, so mid 60s, she would have been 50 years old at that point. So she's already signified you're not going to change a 50-year-old lady's opinion. You know that, I know that. My mom is my mom, and you're not going to change her mind. So imagine that, and then you flip the switch, and now all of a sudden you have to adapt to that, and that it's such a crazy switch to me, and it's wild to think about. And I mean, you have some of that stuff happening now with social media and you know, all of these different segments of lifestyle that, you know, people are having to acclimate to, and it's weird times.
I grew up when we had a lot of segregation still. I grew up in a town of 100,000 people, and the black people lived on the east side of our town. You know, you say on the other side of the tracks, and it kind of was on the other side of the tracks. If you've got a wastewater treatment center in an older town, that was where the black people lived by it. Sorry, not being racist, that's just a fact. And that's how I grew up. And we would play, when we was a kid and you played Little League sports and you played against the Vikings, the Leopards, or the Wolverines, those were the names of their schools. Those were all black teams. I mean, you had a game. You were going to be having to play some ball that day but that's the way it was. They had elementaries, and it was segregated, and they didn't desegregate until, you know, they started doing it in the 60s. I wasn't born until 68, but it was the 80s before really a lot of towns diversified more. And it was a different deal. But yeah, I could imagine someone that was 65 years old at that time. I worked with an old black guy that was a very successful man. He was a salesperson at this furniture store I worked at, and he started working there when he was 18, 19 years old. Come from a really good family. Everybody in his family is successful. His sons, nephews, all of them went and played Division I football. One of his nephews was a big stud at Texas Tech back in the day. But anyways, good family, educated, good people. And he told me that he remembers when he was delivering furniture there, when he was a young man, having to go in the back doors of places. And that hurt my feelings for him. Really did. It really did. Yeah. But that was socially accepted back then, and that's just the way it was. You know, he didn't bother him any. He grew up his whole life that way.
My grandmother tells a story. She remembers when she was a little girl, they had white water and colored water in the water fountains. And she, you know, 6, 7, 8-year-old little girl, she always wanted to drink out of the colored water because she thought it came out rainbows. She didn't realize that it was
colored was because of skin.
Colored was because of skin. But to a 6-year-old mind, she always thought that, you know, she just got plain water at the white water, but colored water, it would come out in rainbow patterns. But, you know, she saw that and she remembers it even now. So it's a totally different world. But, you know, I mean, I don't think it's the way things were back then. And you know, it would have been a hard switch to just be like, no, everything's fine now. I saw a TikTok video not too long ago, how to act in a bar, and it was it's the guy that's the trainer in Rocky. I don't know what his name is, but everybody knows who he is. He was a younger guy, and it was an informational video that they would play to the soldiers when they were going overseas to fight in World War II, and it's how to act in an English bar. And basically, like, he was outlining that, colored people, black people are allowed through the front door of bars in England. They're more progressive than we are. And he's like, you know, it's just the way that it is. Plus, like, what good would it do to fight about that over here? That's a fight for another day. So even then they had things to train soldiers and just letting them know about the way of the world.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
It's great.
But we've come a long way. We got a long way to go, but we'll get there, maybe, if we don't blow this whole fucking thing up before then.
I don't know. You know, obviously I was in law enforcement for a period of time too. And, you know, one of the things that pushed me into that career path was all of these incidents that were going on. It was Trayvon Martin had just happened when I finally made the decision that, like, I'm going to go into law enforcement. And, you know, that stuff's prevalent now.
Oh yeah. 100%.
You know, there are segments of society that believes systemic racism still exists. And I'm not saying that it is or isn't, you know, I'm going to take the flat earth opinion here. I personally have not seen anything that I identified with as being systemic, but I do not live life as I don't live life as a black man. So I can't say for certain that this has or hasn't happened. And, do I think that there's still a bunch of racist people out there? Yeah, I do. I think that they exist. Do I think that it's a predominant enough figment of society to say it's systemic? No, I don't. I just don't. I don't see that happening in this time. Not with everything that we see going on with social media and stuff like that. It would be plastered all over the walls.
Right.
But it's my take on it.
Well, and I mean, it just systemic is it's a weird, like you said, there are still people out there on both sides. I mean, on either side.
Sure.
There's the notion that just because you're of a different color you can't be racist is
bullshit.
Crazy in my mind.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, of course there are. And there's also such thing as called, it's just group identity. Like you're going to favor the people that look like you. That's why, Japan and China are going to kick our ass one day, is because they're a homogenized country. They all look the same. It's like, it's easy to root for that guy. He looks just like me. He dresses like me. So it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I root for him? There's so much diversity here that
I think they'll beat our ass for a different reason. They can get behind each other and be unified. The United States.
Well, and that's all. It goes to I think it goes to the homogenization.
I think racism and reality are two different things, or basically with the same things. What I'm trying to say. Reality is you're a racist if you profile someone. Well, reality is if you hear about a gang shooting or a drive-by shooting, you're thinking it's a black person. If I think of someone selling meth living in a trailer, I think of a white person. If I think of someone toting some dope across the Rio Grande River, I think of a Mexican. It's not racist. That's just reality. Am I wrong?
Narrow your search down a little bit. Make it easier. If you're in law enforcement, like you got to know who to look for.
And to not.
I'll tell you a story from a couple weeks ago. We went to World Deer Expo in Birmingham, Alabama, and we got a couple of younger guys that work with us, and so it's kind of wrangling them sometimes can be fun. But so we're staying in downtown Birmingham, okay? And downtown Birmingham I don't know if y'all have ever been there.
Don't plan on it.
It's rough. It's bad. Don't go. So we're there and we're staying downtown and we're in a pretty nice hotel, but you kind of got to walk everywhere you want to go. And they're like, yeah, we're going to run out of the store real quick, grab some beer, whatever. This is a Sunday night. Okay. So they go out and they don't come back. Next thing you know, I'm looking on their Snapchat story and they're in a freaking concert, a Lil Boosie concert in the middle of downtown Birmingham. So the next... Yes, on a Sunday night, these idiots decided it'd be a great idea in downtown Birmingham to go to a Lil Boosie concert. All right. And so the next day I'm like, what the fuck were you guys thinking going to a Lil Boosie concert in downtown Birmingham on a Sunday night? And I'm like, man, I don't know. We got stopped by the cops on the way out. And I was like, yeah, no shit. And they were like, well, yeah, we got stopped by the cops. They're asking us what the fuck we were doing here. And we were like, yeah, we're just trying to listen to Lil Boosie Badass, like they were just having a good time. And not really realizing, or I guess thinking that, these cops are stopping them, asking for identification because they're not supposed to be there.
Right.
Like they're the only two, not saying they're not supposed to be there, but they're the only two. You two are not like everybody else here. What the fuck are you thinking? What are you doing here?
It's dangerous.
And that's part. Yes, absolutely. It was dangerous. It was a dumb decision. They should not have wound up a Lil Boosie Badass concert on Sunday night in downtown Birmingham. But needless to say, they both survived to tell the story. And, from the videos that they posted, it looks like they had a pretty fun time,
But let's be honest. If you had two black kids that work for you, I'd have told them the same damn thing.
Yeah.
What are you fucking doing? Shit's dangerous.
Yeah. Live in North Carolina and you're in downtown Birmingham, you're going to walk off in the middle of the night and go to a concert that you should not be at. Yeah, I mean, but they survived. So at the end of the day, that's the take home.
If you don't do dumb shit when you're younger, you'll have nothing to talk about when you're older.
Oh, that's the truth.
I got a lot of good stories because I did a lot of stupid shit when I was younger, but it's a different world we live in now. I was worried about maybe getting my ass whooped sometimes, but I wasn't worried about getting shot.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've got a random question that's been burning me. So what is the craziest thing that has happened in a blind on a guided hunt that y'all put on?
We had a drunk guy one time that fell asleep on his gun and didn't know he was drinking until then. We took his gun away from him.
Yeah.
And that was at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. I've never understood that. You pay money to come up here and you get so drunk you can't function or do shit. I've just never do that. I'll tell you a story real quick. Wasn't in a blind. I was in my office one morning about 9:30 in the morning. The guys were out hunting. I checked on them. They weren't going to be in for about an hour. I'm trying to get quiet at the lodge. Got my door in the office closed. I hear this boom, 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 like a truck radio going. I said, what the fuck? That's the deal. Finally, it got my attention. I opened the door up, and there's this drunk guy in front of room 3 parked up. He's got an old Blazer. Has a roof off of it. Now, granted, it's probably December, and it's probably 50 degrees outside. And he's got a beer in his hand. He's like, hey, Jeff, how you doing? I go, and I knew who he was. I go, you guys are hunting tomorrow, right? Yeah. Hell, I woke up this morning. I was so excited. I just wanted to come on up here, so I just drove on up this morning. This fucker's blitzed. 9 o'clock in the morning, blitzed. And he's listening to Van Halen as loud as you can listen to it in the parking lot. I said, well, we'll have lunch at 12 if you want to come over and eat lunch with us. I ain't even worried about eating. I'm just going to drink and have a good time.
God.
And he was there all day long. At dinner that night at 6 o'clock, he was so fucking drunk he couldn't even hardly walk. And I don't understand that.
I'll provide you a little example maybe, or maybe a possible reason. I mean, these people are from all over the place, right? And so they it's a vacation from them. So they're escaping whatever it is that they're doing during the day, and they're going, and now that they're there, they're like, I don't have anybody around me that knows who I am. I'm just going to get drunk and party.
This guy done a good job of it, and he was gouch-eyed. You know what a wondering eye is? You wonder where he's looking. You know, one eye's over here and one eye's looking the other way. And he got so drunk his eyes were on the same side. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's the same it's the same mentality as people have when they go to a resort. Like, hey, I'm here for a weekend, and I got a case of beer, and I got my buddies with me, so let's just fucking turn loose a little bit. Really, like, there hadn't been too much craziness that's gone on in the field. We had a dog get run over one time. Yeah, what?
Well, like one of your clients brought their dog, and their dog got ran over?
Everybody, one of the client's dogs. He had the dog out, and everybody was leaving to go park the vehicles, and it just ran behind.
Somebody else he wasn't with.
Yeah, he didn't even get to run over his own dog.
It was like 5 groups of 2 together.
And then it's just one of those things. The dog just ran behind a truck as that truck was backing up. This is before backup cameras or anything, and shit happens.
Hey, it was a bad call, Andy. Was you on the hunt?
No, Zach,
you need to get out here, Jeff. What's going on? We just had a dog get killed, huh? So I get out there.
Not even daylight yet. How'd the dog get killed?
Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Didn't get shot.
So they grab the dog and they take it to the vet. They get halfway to the vet and they're like, fuck, it's dead. And then they come back and then they do the hunt.
Yeah.
Did they take a picture with the dead dog and the birds?
I think so.
Then they got the dog out and put the birds all around him and took a picture. And the guy told me, he said, God almighty, I just don't want to have to deal with my daughter because it was her dog. Then 3 years later, guy comes in the hunt and he goes, do you remember me? I said, hey, you look familiar. He said, I'm the one that ran over the dog. Oh. I was like, oh, fuck. And the guy with the dead dog was there the same time, just randomly happened to be at the lodge at the same time.
Remember me?
Damn.
Remember me?
Yeah. I killed your dog. Do y'all let clients bring dogs on hunts?
No, you have to have. I just dealt with this the other day. I had a big blow up over this. You have to have a private party. That doesn't mean that there's 5 groups of 2 and y'all are hunting together as a private party. You have to book your own group to bring a dog, because if your dog screws up the hunt, that's on you, not on me. I've had guys show up together and the guy with the dog drive home by himself because the dog fucked up a hunt. So that is that's my dog deal.
And that's better than a lot of places, because there's a lot of places it's a no dog policy, period, whether you got a private group or not. So I mean,
and we love good dogs. Yeah. The problem is most guys' dogs, you can tell a guy his wife's got a fat ass and he don't care, but you say something bad about Bowser and he's madder than hell.
Yeah, I can get that.
Private party, you screw it up, that's between you and your buddies. One time my wife worked out here. She was cleaning rooms, and it was a father-son group, and they had 2 rooms, and the kids staying in their own room got into their dad's hooch the night before, and one of them fucking spray painted the bathtub in puke, just from one end to the other. It was just solid puke. A 14, 15-year-old kid got into his dad's whiskey and was going to be tough. So her and the other girl that were cleaning rooms that day, paper, rock, scissors to see who was going to clean up the puke, and my wife lost. So,
God, yeah, I would not have been a part of that one.
had
That's
that.
rough.
We
haven't had a lot of problems.
No, not really.
We run a pretty tight ship on things. We got everything's on a schedule, and
I'm sure
guys
something will
cut
come
loose.
to me. I'm sure something will come to me after this, but on the spot, I can't really think of anything that's too off the wall crazy. Just drunks most of the time. And I mean, I say most of the time. If there is a problem, it's going to be with alcohol. Guys showing up to the field drunk and, kind of having to have that conversation with them. Not always fun.
Sorry, you're not hunting.
Yeah, and that
we've had to do that.
Very, very rarely does it happen.
Yes.
It happens, but it's not very common.
That's a liability, man.
Yep,
Big
we
one.
ain't putting up with that
100%.
shit. And I
Yeah,
tell
and
guys
especially
that.
in A-frames, like all it takes is you being drunk and stumbling and dropping your gun one way or the other. Yeah,
Whoever it goes off,
That
you just shot everybody blind.
it's going one way or the other. It ain't going forward. It's not
No.
going to point in the safe direction. It's going sideways where everybody's sitting.
That's
so.
the biggest problem you deal with young guides is young guides have to learn to take control. I'm the boss out here. I'm going to call the shot. You're here to have a good time, and we want it to happen, but I'm here to make sure everybody's safe.
Well, you don't want to do it in a dickhead way like Jeff just said. You want to make it seem like it's their idea. You know what I mean? Like, do you really think that you should be out here doing this? And then that, sometimes you do have to be an asshole, but you want to finesse it a little bit. Jeff's got the advantage of just being king dingaling and being like, well, fucking what I say goes. Some of these young guys don't have that authority yet.
They're the boss in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if
taking ownership, the idea of that and taking that ownership is two different things.
Yeah.
People are afraid to step up anymore.
Well, that's no shit. That's everyday life. I've got a guy coming that wears me out. He always wants to be the first fucking truck into the field so he can pick where he wants to dove hunt at, and he drives 50 fucking miles an hour. And they follow us to the dove field, and there'll be 10 vehicles, and he always has to be the first one, and he drives like he's driving Miss fucking Daisy. Wears me the hell out.
And then he'll get lost coming back.
Yeah. Like, why'd you leave me?
So I'm already got a plan for when he gets here on Friday. I'm gonna tell him, listen, you're not the first truck. You can be second and hold everybody else up, but the first guy's gonna be behind me so we can get you where you're supposed to go.
Or you just tell him, you have everybody else meet you there, and start time's 9:00, and you send that dude a pin and tell him to be there at
He'd
10.
have to leave at 7 a.m. as slow as he drives. It's fucking terrible.
And
Every
And
time.
he's got a long drive here, so it's like I couldn't imagine driving 55. I go 85 everywhere I go. I couldn't imagine making a road trip and driving 55.
It'd take him 10 hours to get from Dallas, a 3-hour drive. It wears me out. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm almost said his name 5 times. Yeah. It wears me out. I'm like, damn it, driving. Every time I make fun of him, pull up, like, damn it, son. Does that thing got a gas pedal in it?
Y'all, Texas, man, they don't play about their speeds, man. They'll run right over your ass. We're pulling a trailer. We went to Texas twice this year pulling that trailer, and it's people like I don't pull that trailer really over 80 mile an hour, and you'll get flat ass ran over.
You can't get. It's a long way in Texas.
You got a long way to go to anywhere.
Might as well fucking drive faster. It's quicker to get there if you drive fast.
Yeah, I get that. It makes sense.
All right, buddy. We've gone almost 2 hours now, so we're gonna let you go. So listen, combatwaterfowl.com. That's the place you can go. Go to Instagram. You got it all set up there. So any other way of getting a hold of you?
Yep. I mean, any social media channels, all at Combat Waterfowl, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Cool.
All right, I'm going to do the democratic thing here. We've got the Gold Star Youth Hunt coming the last weekend of September. Need donations for kids. Can you send us?
Hat.
I've got.
You can do.
Yeah, so I don't have youth size shirts. I do have youth size hats. So if you,
I'm going to have 8 kids. If you send us 8 kids and you send some shirts for my ladies at the staff, all sizes, they'll wear them around here at the lodge also. But I'd appreciate it very much.
Can you? Yeah, I can definitely make that happen. Send me the shirt sizes, ladies at the lodge, and I'll make that happen.
I appreciate it very much, bud.
Been a lot of fun, and good luck this waterfowl season. And I'll be looking forward to everything that's coming out.
We'll see you probably at Turkey.
Oh yeah.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Take care in that hurricane.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Be safe and send us that rain.
Yeah, we need it. Bye. Robert Brewer, Combat Waterfowl.
Very nice guy. They got some cool shit.
Well, you are just like a damn Democrat.
Well, working for the kids.
Send me this and the ladies in the kitchen.
That's nice. They'll wear them and it's good for advertisement for him. It's the rules around here. You can't wear nothing but Stanfield shirts or anything else waterfowl related. Usually our sponsors, they're not sponsored, but they have good people. They'll sell a lot of shirts that way.
Good folks.
Good folks.
Good folks.
Thank y'all for listening to us. Check us out on Patreon. Check us out on YouTube. And we appreciate you
Are
listening
you
to the
prepared
podcast.
for what's coming?
What's coming?
Just a shitstorm of opening weekend.
Yeah, I am.
You seem grouchy already.
No, it's just 'cause I've got a
You're
cold.
already pissy about this guy driving slow. And
No, I'm just going to handle it better this year.
you're just fucking.
Every year
you're
I'm like, God dang, I
you're
let him do
all wound up.
that. I'm not wound up at all.
You're all fucking wound up over nothing.
As of right now, we have Dove. We have food. And we have clients. It'll be a good weekend.
It will be a good weekend.
And you're going to do
just in
the,
a negative fucking
and you're
mood.
Gonna, I'm not in a negative mood at all.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. I just got a
You
cold.
are. You seem terrible. Terribly short with people.
Well, we're having dinner together tonight, so you'll get to be around me more.
Perfect. What else do we got? So go to YouTube right now. New episode of the First Family of Waterfowl will be up at 7:00 Thursday evening. Go get subscribed to YouTube. We got a couple more episodes of that coming. Leave us a like, comment on the episode. Let us know what you think about it. This one's pretty good. Stay safe this weekend. I have a couple beers, but do it in a safe manner. Don't do anything foolish. No drinking, driving. I know everybody's going to kind of go crazy with opening weekend here, but
Got a lot to talk about after opening weekend. Andy's got a big food challenge coming on Saturday night.
oh yeah,
Are you excited about that?
I forgot about it.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be filming the season 3, episode 1 of the First Family of Waterfowl, and Andy is going to be eating durian fruit. What's that other shit called?
There's pork brains. There's all sorts of good stuff.
Samoshki or some Swedish
fish.
rotten fish. You can smell it. It stinks so bad you can smell it through the can.
I smell it now. It's not even out here yet. So anyway, yeah, go to our YouTube channel. Check out the new episode of it. There was something else that I cannot fucking remember what I was going to tell people to do. Oh, if you want to play with us in fantasy football, listen, I know some of you don't like fantasy football. You don't have to fucking tell me about it, but a lot of people do. Okay, a lot of people like to play fantasy football. We talk a lot of shit, so people like to throw their hat in the ring. There are a couple different ways. If you are a member of our private Facebook page, I have pinned both leagues to the top. There is a pick'em that you can do each week, and there's a survivor pool. There's also a FanDuel account. So there's 3 different leagues. We're all going to be in them out here from the lodge. So get entered. Payment information is on there. Nate Coldiron is handling all of that. So you'll Venmo him the money or PayPal. And it's going to be a lot of fun this year. I'm looking forward to kicking everybody's ass and taking their fucking money. And the winner of all the leagues also get swag from out here too. So there's a little bit of money to be won and some merchandise. So get signed up for those. Go to our YouTube. Watch First Family of Waterfowl. Love you. Be safe out there.
Before we get off here, one question.
Have a great opening weekend.
Does Deion Sanders win his first game at Colorado?
Yes.
Are you all in on the Buffaloes?
38-35. Actually, I don't know that because I don't know how good of an offense they have.
Are you going to be a Colorado fan this year?
Oh, I'm a big Colorado fan.
There you go.
Coach Prime.
There you go. Thank y'all. God bless y'all.
I saw Max got cut.
I did see
Duggan.
that too. I wonder if he gets picked up by a practice squad though.
Somebody said they figured he might. But yes, Colorado wins this week.
New England has one quarterback on their roster right now.
Mac Jones?
That's it. They cut everybody else. They cut that Zappy kid. I was surprised he done pretty good.
I've not seen the games from this weekend, but I do know. I think that's probably the biggest game. We looked at it the other day. Colorado TCU.
Yep.
Where
No,
do they
there's
play
somebody
at?
at Florida State and LSU play. They play on Sunday night or Monday night.
Where does Colorado? Do they play in TCU?
I don't know where they play at. It's gonna be hotter than fuck if they're playing in TCU.
Go Coach Prime. Love
See
you
ya.
guys. Be
Peace.
safe.
Bye.
Constantly taking my stuff. Go check out all of our sponsors. Go check out Dive Bomb Industries, Boss Shot Shells, Pacific Calls, Lucky Duck, Looking Glass Podcast, Shin Gear, Dirty Duck Coffee, Ducks Unlimited, Double T British Kennels, Mossberg, Stanfield Outfitters, Alpha Outdoor Specialties, and Hemp Hill Farms.